This is the Fox News debate with the Republican candidates, minus Donald Trump, of course, because he didn't want to participate in the debates in the 2024 election season, not the primary debates. This is the first primary debate. It remains to be seen if he participates in any others. I get the impression he's decided not to, which personally I think is a wise political calculation. I don't think he has anything to gain from participating in any of the debates. But anyways, that means that we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on stage, and they are all nutter butters of epic proportions. We got people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, Ada Hutchinson. We've got Ron DeSantis on stage, and we got a whole bunch of other people. So let's give this debate a listen. See how many times they insult Trump. I'm going to guess it's going to be 0. And see how many times they talk poorly about Biden and how many times they mention Bidenomics. We should keep a Bidenomics counter on the top of this. Anyway, we're going to listen to this debate, and while we do, I'm going to play some Pokemon Fire Red. It's actually a ROM hack that allows me to catch any Pokemon, even the starters. So, yeah, right now I'm in Rock Tunnel. Give you a little context. If you've never played it, don't sweat it. It'll be in the background. Shouldn't bother you too much. All right, let's listen, shall we?
8 Republican candidates have qualified and have chosen to be here on our debate stage tonight.
So we got like Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, a couple other people I forgot to mention. I think that's 6 that I've mentioned.
They are here to lay out their vision for America, as they battle for the GOP nomination.
Dude, they're kind of acting like this is like a wrestling match or something. Is it just me? And did this just freeze on me?
Good evening, everybody.
This just froze on me. For real. This is not moving. Why is this not moving?
I'm Martha McCallum.
And I'm Brett Baer.
There we go.
This is the very same stage on which the Republican choice for president will accept the party's nomination next summer. The 8 contenders are positioned by the order they sit in the polls.
Wait a minute. Interesting. I didn't realize that it was the order in which they sit in the polls. First of all, that means Ron DeSantis must be on one of the ends because he's pretty high in the polls, first of all. And second, that's really interesting what he just said. Let me step back, listen again.
I'm Martha McCallum.
And I'm Brett Baer. This is the very same stage on which the Republican choice for president will accept the party's nomination.
Oh, I didn't know that. So Fox News basically controls the party's nomination and where they accept the stuff or whatever. Fox News always likes to pretend that they're completely neutral arbiters when it's so obvious to everybody that they're not. They shouldn't have the word news in their name at all. In fact, it's kind of a slap in the face to any real news network that they do.
The 8 contenders are positioned by the order they sit in the polls, with the highest polling candidates in the middle standing center stage. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Look at this fake smile on this dude right now. I wish it wouldn't go gray every time I pause. That's kind of annoying. But anyway, look at the fake smile on the dude. This is like so cringy and terrible. And he looks like, I don't know, he looks, you know what? Growing up Jehovah's Witness, it gave me a, what's the word? Like a taste for high fashion, if you will. That's probably not the right term, but I wore suits all the time as a Jehovah's Witness. Nearly every day of the week. Half the week I was wearing a suit at some point of some kind, and I know suits. I mean, I know nice suits, I know cheap suits. This looks like a really nice suit that is entirely too large for him. He looks like he's lost a lot of weight recently, which is great. Super happy for him to have lost weight. He needs to get an entirely new set of suits because he's swimming in this thing, and it looks terrible. This is an objective analysis. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings here.
Next, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah, Vivek has had a pretty big jump in polls recently. Went from like 4% to 7% or something like that. I don't know. He's really not that popular, all things considered. But, you know, he has his talking points. He's very polished, and he knows how to get those talking points out. I think he's almost a billionaire. He may have like $650 million or something like that. I don't know. He's worth a lot of money, which is a sad reflection on our election system. People that make the most money find themselves at the top of the, at the race most of the time. Kind of sad, but okay.
Former Vice President Mike Pence.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
South Carolina Senator
Ooh, there's some booze in there for Chris Christie. You get that? Did you guys hear the booze? Listen to this.
Former Vice
Cheer.
President Mike Pence.
Former South
Even cheers for Pence, right? Cheer.
Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
South Carolina Senator.
You guys hear those boos? Is it just me? You guys think that's because Chris Christie is like almost, or basically the only one hitting Trump in the primaries right now, aside from Ron DeSantis? And DeSantis isn't really hitting him that hard. Is he even hitting him now? Is he even criticizing him, like, to any degree at all? I haven't heard any criticisms of Trump from Ron DeSantis in a while. So I'm really not sure if that's, like, something that's happening still or not. But anyways, I bet the boos came for Chris Christie because he's criticizing Trump.
Tim Scott.
Former Arkansas
Back to cheers again.
Governor Asa Hutchinson.
And North Dakota Governor
Ooh, boos for that guy, too.
Doug Burgum.
Wow, Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie seem to have gotten some boos in that. I don't know who Doug Burgum is. Honestly, I don't know who half these people are, but we're about to find out, I suppose, huh?
Some ground rules for tonight. We'll ask the questions, and then candidates get 1 minute to answer. If someone is singled out, you get 30 seconds to respond. And when the time runs out, we all will hear this. Very pleasant.
It sounds like a game show sound. Like, I used to watch a lot of game shows when I was a kid, and that's what it sounds like right now.
So tonight, these candidates have a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president at a time when the likely Democrat nominee, President Joe Biden, is working to convince the country that with Bidenomics, things are looking up.
Okay, so I watched a little bit of this debate. I didn't watch the whole thing, but let me tell you guys a little bit of what I noticed while watching it, okay? Donald Trump, as you can tell, did not show up to this debate, right? And what it seemed like to me is that Fox News was setting these people up to fail. It seemed like they were saying things or asking questions or pointing people out or whatever that were bound to piss people off, to make them look really, really bad. I don't know, just a little conspiracy theory on my end, I guess. It seems like they're supporting Donald Trump, and they're making that clear by, basically tripping these people. Sticking their foot out, tripping them, watching them fall on their face. That seems like what this whole debate was about. Making them look absolutely terrible, bringing up every issue that Republicans do not want to talk about. They didn't give them an opportunity to look good in this debate, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. I'll point it out. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video.
They call my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
Isn't it weird to hear Joe Biden speaking coherently? I've been told by Fox News that the guy has dementia and is incapable of communicating with a normal human being. He's basically in bed 24/7 because he's in late-stage dementia or late-stage Alzheimer's. Weird to hear him talking coherently, huh? Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my cat, as many know, has diabetes. Her blood sugar was really low this morning, and it's got me super concerned. So I gave her some non-diabetic safe treats to kind of get that blood sugar up and long-term. And I'm going to check it every hour, make sure she's doing okay. So I'm going to have to step away for a second and check her blood sugar. Anyway, it's super strange to hear Biden speaking coherently here, right?
Is it? More than
Okay,
65%
everybody's booing for Biden saying that. Guess what? It works.
of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
We have noticed a dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
Gas is
Oh, they're giving us some anecdotal examples. Fantastic. You know, this is called the Man on the Street segment on Fox News. Let me tell you how this little trick works. They did this during the period of time when it appeared as though it was possible that DeSantis might have a chance against Donald Trump. They send one of their people out on the street to interview randos, right? And they have the guy out there for like 12 hours, and he interviews like 50 people. Now, if they want to pump Donald Trump up, they can just pick out the examples of the guys that, or gals or non-binary pals, I suppose, that spoke like positively of Donald Trump. If they want to pump up Ron DeSantis, they just have to show the ones that spoke highly of Ron DeSantis. See how that works? The Man on the Street segment, what they're showing us right now, this thing right here, is a propaganda mechanism. So they say Bidenomics does not work, and we went out to the streets of Milwaukee to prove it. Okay? Let's listen to their little propaganda mechanism here.
65% of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
We have noticed a dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
gas is high and food is high.
Okay, gas is not high. I don't know what they're talking about. Is food high in Milwaukee? I'm not sure if food is high in Milwaukee. I don't think I've noticed my food prices going up, but that may be because they were already high. I'm not sure.
A lot of people's out here homeless because they can't buy food.
It's tough when you got mortgage
Wait,
rates
they're homeless because they can't buy food. Okay, interesting.
at 7-8% versus 2 to 3. It's just you can't afford a house anymore.
Inflation is ridiculous. It's killing.
No, it's not, actually. Inflation is way, way, way down right now. Again, man on the street propaganda mechanism that they're using here. I don't know if it has an official name or not, but I'm officially naming it right now. Man on the street propaganda technique. That's what I'm calling it. It's a propaganda technique that is basically exclusively used by media outlets. Fascinating.
And us out here.
As we sit here tonight, the #1 song on the Billboard chart is called Rich Men North of Richmond.
Yeah, I've never heard that song before. Never even heard of that song, so I'm skeptical. I don't know if that's true, but okay.
It is by a singer from Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation, of deep frustration with the state of government and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
Oh, God, please don't hit me with copyright. You know what? I'm going to criticize this song. This dude's beard sucks. First of all, I just want to criticize the video because, you know, it may be split into 2 segments. Video sucks here. His beard is awful, and he's using a terrible, weird-looking guitar. And also, he's pretending to be a country singer. I don't know why. Wait, you don't tell me he's a real country singer, is he? Is he pretending to be one, or is he an actual country singer? If he's an actual country singer, this is cringy as it gets, dude. All right, yeah. So basically, the song is about, you know, government control or whatever, right? Okay. I think I get the idea. I'm going to skip forward a little because I don't want to get hit with copyright. I have no idea who this dude is, honestly, or what he's singing, and what's wrong with that guitar. Is that an acoustic, or... It looked like it was an acoustic. He must have had pickups in his acoustic. That's weird.
Is this song striking such a nerve in this country right now? What do you think it means?
So why is this song striking a nerve in the country? So the song is about rich people controlling the country, basically. And we've got a whole bunch of people on stage who are filthy rich. They're not qualified to answer this question. They have no idea what this song was about or why it's striking a nerve in the country. But okay.
Country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice.
Oh, my God. This is such a stupid saying from Ron DeSantis. I've heard 1,000 times. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice.
We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
Oh, my God, dude. It's such a cringy, stupid talking point that this dude uses nonstop.
And it starts with understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands.
Wait, what? Why invoke Hunter Biden? What does Hunter Biden have to do with anything at all? I don't understand. I don't want a critical hit here. This is the Pokemon that I want to use for my, for my fighting force. So I'm gonna try to grab this Growlithe here. Yeah, we're gonna grab the Growlithe. So I'm gonna. Yeah. Oh, I like cheating too. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention I cheat constantly in this game because it makes it more fun. So expect lots of cheating.
Dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong. We also cannot succeed when the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And
okay, he was a congressman for like who knows how long, for 3 terms, I think, or something like that. How many terms was Ron DeSantis a congressman? Yeah, he served he served 3 terms in the House of Representatives, retiring in 2018 to run for governor of Florida. He ran for governor of Florida and won, of course, barely, just by like that much. Nobody knew him, nobody liked him, but the Republican Party was looking for an opportunity to get away from Donald Trump desperately, anything they could do, whatever it took. And they saw that he seemed to be successful in his, election run in Florida. So he looked like the natural next step. Like, people could easily come to him as the moderate alternative who everybody can agree on that doesn't like Trump. Except he turned out not to be a moderate at all. Not even a little bit. Actually turned out to be a complete nutcase. So, he's even worse than Donald Trump. He's even further right than Donald Trump. I mean, Trump uses the far right to boost his own power. So he wants to be as far right as he can, but somehow Ron DeSantis beat him. Anyway, let's keep listening. So, about Ron DeSantis here. He is one of those rich men in Richmond and has been for a long, long time. You're the problem, Ron. Are you not is this not clicking in your head? That you're the issue? That nobody likes you? That song is about your ass? Nope, I guess not.
Finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country.
Okay, if you want to be energy dominant, there's actually an easy way to do this. I'll tell you exactly how to do it, all right? It would cost about $30 trillion to make not the United States, but the world completely carbon neutral. I'm talking outfit everything, the entire world, in solar panels and wind farms and hydroelectric dams and whatever else. That's what it would cost to turn the entire world carbon neutral, to my knowledge. $30 trillion, okay? How much would it cost the United States alone to go carbon neutral? I'm not even sure. I'm sorry, I'm using carbon neutral. What I mean is carbon-free energy. I mean solar panels, wind farms, hydroelectric dams, that type of thing. It looks like it would cost between $1.5 to $4 trillion. Didn't we spend $8 trillion on murdering innocent people in the Middle East a few years ago? You know what happens when we switch 100% over to all carbon-free power generation? You know what happens then? We have 16 million barrels of oil per day, is it? How much oil does the U.S. produce? So oil is measured in barrels, 55-gallon barrels, I believe. we use almost about 20 million barrels of oil per day. 19,687,287. So I'm calling it 20,000 or 20 million barrels, right? 20 million barrels of oil per day is what we use. We produce 16 million barrels of oil per day. You know what that means, right? That means if we go completely carbon neutral, I'm talking we switch over to wind farms and hydroelectric dams and solar panels and everything else, instead of using fossil fuels to power everything. Guess what we now have freed up to sell to everybody else if we want? You want to be energy dominant, Ron? There's a quick and easy way to do that. Go carbon neutral. Maximum, not carbon neutral, carbon free. I'm saying we are using exclusively zero carbon energy or power generation. If it would cost us half of what the Iraq war cost, and in addition to costing us half of that, it would pay for itself in like 3 days or some crazy thing. How much is, we consume 20 million barrels per day. Right now, oil is about $100 a barrel. So what is that? It's we'd have 16 million barrels per day, right? So 16 million. That's what we pull out of the ground in Alaska and Texas and everywhere else in the U.S. 16 million times $100 per barrel. What is that? That's oh my God, my mind's not. Is that $1.6 billion per day? Is that right? Times 365 days per year. What are we looking at? $5.8 trillion per year is what we would have to sell. Is that right? Sounds to me like we would double our profit in a year if we switch to all renewable electric. We would double our profit in 1 year. Seriously, use your f***ing head, Ron. Everybody on stage right now is dumb as dog shit if they are not willing to accept climate change. And by the way, that subject comes up in a minute. Spoiler alert, they are all dumb as dog shit. I don't intend that to be an insult. I may cut that out later, but I'm trying to just give an honest assessment here. These people are not the sharpest crayons in the box, if you will.
It could be done in the state of Florida. I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
Okay, so his goal, pull more oil out of the ground. Pull more oil out of the ground so that maybe instead of using 20 million barrels a day and pulling out 16 million barrels, we'll be using 20 million and pulling 20 million out of the ground as well. So we would be neutral, not dominant, just pulling out what we use. Or bear with me, we could go completely carbon free. Solar panels, wind farms, hydroelectric dams, and we could sell those 16 million barrels a day that we pull out right now. Hell, we could ramp it down. We could ramp it down to 10 million barrels a day. Hell, we could ramp it down to 5 million barrels a day, and we would be at we would still be at a profit from where we would be if you enacted your plan. How is this dude a governor? This is a joke. People cheering for this. This is about as stupid as it gets.
Thank you. Governor Christie, do you agree with Governor DeSantis just said there? And why would you be better on the economy than him?
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. I think that if you asked every one of us up here, that we would agree predominantly with what he just laid out. Here's the difference.
Well, you're all wrong then. Do you really believe all of this nonsense? It would cost at the most $4 trillion to go completely carbon free, and it would free up all of the oil that we pull out of the ground to be sold. Trillions of dollars per year to be sold if that's what we wanted to do. Really. Do these people get any more vapid? Does it get any, less intelligent or policy-oriented than this, honestly? It's a joke. It blows me away that these people, these guys aren't stupid, right? They're in their positions because they are not stupid. They must have some intelligence to them. These guys are not dumb as dog shit. Nobody on this stage is. They just pretend to be. Why are they pretending to be idiots? Why are they pretending that fossil fuels are a benefit to pull out of the ground instead of going all carbon free in the United States? $30 trillion to outfit the entire world. That's what our national debt's up to already anyways. About, at most, $5 trillion to outfit the entire United States in completely carbon-free renewable resources. What are these people thinking? I need to check Miki's blood sugar. Give me just a second, okay, guys? I'm going to switch and let you guys watch something different for a second while I check. It's just going to take me like 2 minutes. Okay, sorry, guys. Her sugar is dropping right now. I just gave her some honey. I didn't get it all in her mouth, not very well, but I gave her a little, so she got some. That's what matters, I suppose. All right, let's keep listening to the Republican debate, shall we? I got to check in 30 minutes.
Economy than him.
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. And I think that if you asked every one of us up here, that we would agree predominantly with what he just laid out.
Yeah, a really, really stupid plan to pull more barrels out of the ground instead of switching to carbon-free and selling the barrels we're already pulling out. Yeah. Yep. Republicans all agree with that position. Why does anybody vote for these idiots? I don't get it. When I say idiots, I'm talking about the people on stage right now. I try not to insult people unless I'm punching up, unless I'm talking about people who are running for public office. But even then, I don't like insulting people. I don't like being that person, you know? So I do every now and then if it's a public figure, but that's much, much, much larger than me. But even then, I'm not a fan.
The difference. The difference is that we're going to have to work and make sure that we sell these ideas and be able to put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote, not only by winning the Congress and the Senate in 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience of doing it. Now, I was elected as a conservative Republican in a blue state with
That's absolutely right. He says with 61%.
61% of the vote.
Yeah, and when you left office, what was your approval rating, Chris? I'll tell you what it was. His approval rating when he left office was 16%, okay? I didn't know it could get that low, truthfully. I thought that there was going to be a constant base of like 30% of people who will love the Republican no matter what, in any state, period. But apparently not. Apparently there's a line for everybody. And he crossed that line. 16% approval rating, dude. Wow.
With a Democratic legislature against me the entire time. And we still, through hard, strong decision-making, brought
hard, strong decision-making, he says,
them around to our point of view. We cut taxes in New Jersey. We cut debt in New Jersey. We made...
Okay, and all of the things that he did pissed people off so much that he had an approval rating of 16% when he left.
Sure that each and every time we were confronted with bad Democratic ideas, we stood and stopped them. And when there were good ideas, we brought people together to make progress going forward. Truth and accountability are the things we need to do to fight waste. And I'd say the last thing is this, Brett. We cannot sit by any longer and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their...
Well, see, that's the problem. When Republicans get in office, this is the trend. You can look at the trend line. Republicans spend more, and the economy does worse under Republicans. When you get a Democrat in office, they spend less, and the economy does better. Every single time. Let me just show you the trend line. Why not, right? Okay, so let me explain something. There's a difference between the debt and the deficit, all right? So the deficit is the year-over-year budget shortfall that we have. Like, as the president, the president can set the budget for the country, and operating at a deficit is not actually a bad thing necessarily. In fact, it's a good thing a lot of the time. If you spend $50, if you borrow $50 and you spend that 50 on lemonade and cups and sugar and whatever, and then you use that to produce lemonade at a lemonade stand, and you sell all of that lemonade, you were operating at a deficit of $50, but you made a profit of 150 or 200 or something. I don't know. I don't know what lemonade goes for these days. It's been a while since I've had a lemonade stand. I did, too. I did have one at one point. Anyway, having a deficit is not a bad thing necessarily. Having a really high deficit with really low returns is a bad thing. Like, if we're basically going to have zero return on what we spend, we shouldn't be operating with a deficit at all. So deficits aren't bad by default. Deficits are only bad when they're not going to generate any money for us. Now, here's a statement that was made by, who was, this is apparently stated in a tweet. It's just some generic tweet. It's a PolitiFact fun fact. Reagan took the deficit from $70 billion to $175 billion. Bush took it to $300 billion. Clinton got it to zero. We're talking the deficit, not the debt. The debt's $300 trillion, or I'm sorry, it's $30 trillion right now, roughly. The debt is. That's the national overall debt. When we operate at a deficit as a country, the debt goes up, right? So Clinton got the deficit down to zero. Bush 43 took it from zero to 1.2 trillion. That's the Iraq War. Obama halved it to 600 billion. Trump got it back to $1 trillion. Now, there are some mitigating factors here, obviously. Trump had to operate at a dramatic deficit because the pandemic was going on, and there were stimulus checks that were cut and things like that. So I guess it's kind of understandable for Trump in some ways. But overall, Republicans tend to spend money a lot more than Democrats do, like by a massive amount, like an absurd amount of money more. And they all, they're war happy. They've never met a war they didn't like. And you know what war is? Expensive. That's what war is. Costs a lot of money. Your money. Anyways, that's what they're saying here is just nonsense.
A waste.
They can claim that they agree with this stuff. They don't. They don't agree with any of this. They are pretending to be small government conservatives that want less spending. They don't want less spending. They've never wanted less spending, these people on stage here. They've always looked for an opportunity to spend more, to put more money in the pockets of their billionaire donors. Since day one, that's what it's always been about with these people. It's embarrassing.
And I'd say the last thing is this, Brett. We cannot sit by any longer and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their grandchildren.
It's complete nonsense. Like, if he really believed that and he really lived by that, fantastic, but he doesn't. You know what he lives by? More spending, the better. We can see that in his policies as when he was New Jersey governor. We can see how Republicans tend to spend when they're in a position of authority. We can see how Donald Trump spent and George Bush spent and all these other people spent. We know how they spend. Okay, it's not a mystery. He's just making it up right now, pretending he's the more fiscally conservative whatever. No, Democrats are better with the economy, period.
It's robbing our country, and it's wrong.
Well, Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey.
People clapping for that. You guys have no idea what you're clapping for, do you? Seriously. When Republicans get into a position of authority, they spend like mad every time.
When you were governor, had the second lowest credit rating in the nation after Illinois, and it was downgraded 11 times.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has...
Oh, yeah. It was the guys before me, right? It was them before me that failed on the economy miserably. Totally. Yeah, it wasn't me and the policies that I enacted that caused all of this havoc. It was definitely the guys that came before me, 100% for sure. I was governor for, how long was he governor? 4 years? Yeah, it looks like he was governor of New Jersey from 2010 to 2018, so 8 years. And he was the U.S. attorney for New Jersey from 2002 to 2008. That's weird. Okay. So he was governor for 8 years, but it was the guys that came 8 years ago that caused all of these problems. Right. Okay. Sure. Brett Baer said, at the end of your term, all these problems existed. And he says, oh, it was the guys before me. Right.
It's done that, but when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut debt in that state, debt that had been left to us by 3 Democratic gubernatorial predecessors of mine who ran up that debt tremendously. And what you also...
Yeah, I don't even know if this is true. Just knowing Republicans' history, the Republican Party's history on debt and deficits and spending, I seriously doubt it. I'm sorry. I am extremely skeptical.
Also saw us do was to cut the unemployment rate in half. It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did was cut pension payments to public employees to make sure that taxpayers were not being soaked by a public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Thank you, Governor.
Okay, so let's see. He said 2010 is when unemployment was really low. I'm assuming that it was probably still not recovering or it still hadn't recovered after the 2008 financial crisis. That's what I'm guessing. And it was slowly but surely recovering after the 2008 financial crisis while he was governor. That's my assumption. I don't know. I could say the same about Biden. A lot of the corrections and fixes and a lot of the unemployment drops and everything that he's seen is the result of the pandemic coming to, or people, not caring about the pandemic anymore, I guess, and stores opening up again and stuff. That's really what it's about. Biden guided the U.S. through that recovery, so props to him for that. But, you got to point this stuff out.
Senator Scott, the song also goes...
Governor, senator. Okay, so Tim Scott is a senator, apparently. All right. So the song, they're talking about the song again, and how the song is against rich white people or whatever the hell. Rich people, I'm sorry, not white people. It's against rich people. It's a far-right Republican song written by a white supremacist, I'm told. I'm not exactly sure. So they're asking about the song again. Okay.
After welfare programs. As a senator, now President...
Sorry, wait a minute. Say that again.
Public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Thank you, Governor.
Senator Scott, the song also goes after welfare programs.
The song goes after welfare programs, really? Okay, they mentioned a song, and I didn't listen to it. I should look up the lyrics to it. Okay, so they said that it was the top streaming song or something like that. I'm seeing Ed Sheeran as the top. And then The Weeknd is number 2. Ed Sheeran is number 3. Despacito's number 4. Is that real? Top Spotify songs? Let's just check the song ranking for that. It hit number 1 on Billboard Hot 100 Songs chart 2 days ago, apparently. So it hit number 1 on Billboard, which is... Billboard is a measurement of how many radio stations are playing it, I believe, at any given moment. Let's see. Controversial country song, Rich Men North of Richmond. Well, okay, so here are the lyrics, Rich Men North of Richmond. I don't want to listen to it because I don't want to deal with copyright and all that stuff, so. Pre-chorus, it's a shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is, oh it is. Living in the new world with an old soul, these rich men north of Richmond, which of course he's referring to people in Washington, D.C., Lord knows they all want to have total control, want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, because your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end because of rich men north of Richmond. What's he talking about? Donald Trump cut taxes like absolute mad. Taxes are through the floor. If you make less than $400,000 a year, you're probably getting a return. Well, not that. If you make less than $100,000 a year, you're probably getting a return. And if you make $100,000 a year, you don't need a return. You're paying like that much if you make over $100,000 a year. If you make over, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 a year, I don't know what the rules are now. You are probably going to be paying a lot more in taxes past that point. Oh, it's number 1 in iTunes? Is that what it is? Somebody says it's number 1 in iTunes. Okay. Well, I don't know why they use that measurement. That's bizarre, but alrighty. I wish politicians would look out for miners and not just miners, like miners, M-I-N-E-R-S. Look out for coal miners and not just M-I-N-O-R-S on an island somewhere. So that's a shout out to, oh my God, this is just a Republican song. This is a shout out to Jeffrey Epstein. Somehow Republicans or, well, QAnoners have tied Jeffrey Epstein to like Democrats, even though we have like a billion pictures of him hanging out with Trump, being best friends with Trump, just chilling with him. And a ton of his clients are right-wing nutcases. Guess what? I got some bad news for you. You may not be aware of this. I'm sorry to be the one to break this news to you if this is the first time you're finding out. Every demographic of people has a subset of people within that demographic that are like that are, as he describes here, into minors, M-I-N-O-R-S. The question is, how do you handle it when you find out about it? The religious right usually moves them from church to church to prevent prosecution so as not to bring reproach upon God's name. So people don't find out that this exists in their ranks. Well, guess what? I know it exists in your ranks. It exists in all demographics, all groups of people. When I happen across this kind of thing, I don't cover it up. I turn these people in. That's the difference. See how it works? People on the right talking about mistreatment of children when churches exist and do what they do. This is a joke. I'm trying to talk in coded language. I think you can probably pick up what I'm putting down here. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milk and welfare. Oh my God. This sounds like Ronald Reagan's fictional welfare queens thing that he talked about. They're riding around in a Mercedes-Benz that they got off of their welfare money. How much money do you think people get from welfare? I was on welfare for a long time, and I was barely surviving. Barely surviving. It is real fucking difficult to get a cash amount from welfare. It's called TANF, T-A-N-F. And it's a maximum of like $400 a month, and you have to do a whole bunch of... You have to work for it. The state puts you to work for that $400 a month. You have to work like 3 hours a day or something at a soup kitchen or some other place, just depending. Or you have to take classes at one of the state's centers or whatever, classes to teach you how to use Excel or give you useful life skills, basically. I mean, I've been through this whole system. I know exactly how this works. I'm describing things that I did, okay? I went and took Excel classes. E-X-C-E-L, like spreadsheet classes. Learn how to use computers. I mean, I already knew how to do it, but I needed the money. So I went there and I got TANF, is what they call it. I think it was $500 a month at the time when I got it. Let's see, I was 21 maybe, and I just took that money straight from the government, gave it to my renter, and I lived in a roach-infested shithole in Huntington, West Virginia. Literally, roaches crawling on the walls. That's the money that I got from the state. It paid for a roach-infested shithole. I got food stamps, not enough money to pay for food for me and my daughter. But I got it, I suppose. There's no obese people milking welfare nonsense. You know who's really milking government subsidies and welfare? You know the real welfare queens? Corporations. The fossil fuel industry, they get subsidies from the government. Hell, SpaceX got subsidies from the government. Elon Musk. Some of the companies that Elon Musk has built got subsidies from the government. Alexa, stop. Time to check Mickey's blood sugar. A lot of the companies that Elon Musk built got subsidies from the government. So I honestly have no clue what this dude is talking about right now. All this nonsense about obese milk and welfare. Give me a break. This is just the end of it. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought to not pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Oh, yeah, because men are the most persecuted demographic of people in the country. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. Right. Interesting. Well, it's interesting he says that at the end. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. You know what would fix that? You know what would objectively, and I'm not speculating here, I know for a fact because we have data sheets to show us, we have studies to show us. You know what would raise that pay? Unions. You could unionize. Unionize your workplace. Even if you're not in a even if you're not in a union, being in an industry that has unions in it, on average, raises the pay in that industry by 10%, even if you're not in a union. Now, who is for unions and who's against them? Selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay. I just want to pick this song apart for a second because this is garbage. This is like QAnon level stuff, QAnon conspiracy stuff about Jeffrey Epstein and all of this other garbage. Anyways, that's what they are referring to apparently with this song. I didn't listen to it before, but yeah. Let me go check Miki's blood sugar. Hang on. I'm back. Blood sugar was 131, so I gave her honey on the last one because it was 194 at 10. 194 at 10:15. That's what it was. And then at 11:15, it was 137. Basically a 60-point drop in an hour. That's dramatic and scary. So I gave her some carb-rich treats, and carbs will convert to sugars over a period of time. So long-term, her sugar will go up. It needs to be 250 to 350. That's the sweet spot for her. This is the danger zone, and she's having a low glucose day, I can tell. Cats are different than humans. You guys, if you have diabetes, you may be thinking, wow, that's a ridiculously high level. 250 is the sweet spot. Really, it should be 200 to 300, somewhere in there. So I rubbed more honey on her gums just now. I guess the honey I rubbed on her gums the last 30 minutes prevented it from falling more than just 3 points. Rub more honey on her gums just now. Set another timer. I'll check it in 30 minutes.